on citizens' remarks if I don't have them in. Call this meeting to order. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but we're going to have a moment of silence in remembrance of a longtime employee that I'm sure everybody knows and worked with here, Jan. So if you just keep her in your thoughts.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
There's 17 present with members Groves Allison absent.
Next, for approval of the minutes from the July 11th, is there a motion? Member Hare, Member Duncan. Any corrections? Roll call.
Members Blair,
Aye.
Bryant. I heard you. Members Coates.
Aye.
Daly.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Elsesser. Hare. Kelch. Phelan. Renault. Ricker. Rosenbaum. Rulin. Salzer.
Aye.
Williams. Williams. Windisch. And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
17 ayes.
Next is proclamations. There are none, and I want to take a time to recognize a Member Daly. So we would have made it free with no proclamations, but we got this one. And today is actually her 5-year anniversary. I think if you would have asked her 5 years ago that, I don't know if you would have thought you would have made it to 5 years around here, that it was just going to be temporary.
Did you think my death was
No. Since you filled in an appointment that you would have ran it, but you've been very valuable to this board, and I know I appreciate you. We don't always agree, and that's a good thing. And you challenge everybody around the horseshoe to be sharper. So to that, I thank you, and it's amazing how fast 5 years goes. She's become a Democrat. She's wearing blue.
Well, that just ruins everything I was going to say. No, I have so enjoyed being on the board, and what I enjoy the most is that there are people here I never knew before 5 years ago, and it's fabulous to see that they are as dedicated to serving constituents as I am, and to work with them on issues is wonderful. And the Lucky Strike Extra is that I also have learned that if I actually retire, I have a possibility of another career as a life coach.
Next is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Salzer? Member Blair? Would anybody like to pull anything? Oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Citizens' remarks first.
We can, if you want to go ahead and.
Let's
vote.
do the consent agenda, and then I'll go back to,
Okay.
since we have it. We do have representatives from Unland and Insurance here. If you do want, one of this is on consent, number 6, if you want them to talk, and 9 in the regular agenda. Just want to recognize that they're here, and if there are questions, they're here to answer them. Seeing nothing getting pulled, roll call.
Members Blair? Aye. Bryant?
Aye.
Coates? Aye. Daly?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Aye. Hare? Aye. Kelch? Aye. Phelan? Aye. Renault? Aye. Ricker? Aye. Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Rulin?
Aye.
Salzer?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Wendish? And Chairman Dillon?
Aye.
17 ayes.
Back to citizens' remarks. So we have 2. Both of them are for the planning and zoning case of Paul Lopez, Helen Burgess. Since both of them are planning and zoning, just want to remind everybody that's speaking that you can only state what was stated in prior planning and zoning case, and no new information can be submitted. Helen, we'll have 5 minutes. You got, there's Mike.
Right here.
I feel like a star. My name is Helen L. Burgess. I reside at 1023 South Schmidt Avenue in Limestone Township. In the subdivision east off Airport Road between I-474 bypass and Harmon Highway. I have lived there for 57 years. When I moved there in 1967, this subdivision was a nice, quiet family neighborhood. I raised my 5 children there. After they were raised, I went back to work. I am now retired, living on a limited income, and blessed to be living in my own home. I am 81 years old, and I should not have to move. The location of a vehicle repair shop and salvage yard 2 doors from my home would devalue my property and would be impossible to sell the property for anything close to its real value. No one wants to buy a home where they have to put up with dust and debris, dirt and noise, bad smells when someone's burning not bad materials in a barrel, and fumes from chemicals and fluids that may be spilled, vehicles that may leak and track chemicals and fluids onto West Russell and South Schmidt Avenue on Kruger Lane that is directly across from the Morton Building and services 7 residents, including mine. Mr. Lopez has been delivering vehicles to the case number of stated property, sometimes parking in front of the properties, including our home, unloading and loading vehicles, sometimes quite late at night. This is a noise issue. He has done some repair work out of his Morton Building, making very loud banging noises, also quite late at night. He also has created a new entrance to the property off West Russell just before the stop to enter onto Airport Road. His tow truck and other vehicles have dragged dirt, mud, and debris into the roadway, causing it to be difficult to drive in and out of the neighborhood safely. For adversely affecting the useful and healthful enjoyment of our property. Having this business at the case numbered address would make much more traffic in an otherwise quiet neighborhood, and it would be unsafe to drive, walk, or bicycle in the neighborhood for health or pleasure. We do enjoy getting out and working with our flower gardens. I myself love to sit quietly and read. Being retired, I sometimes read late at night and sleep late in the morning. Also, I have taken up researching and documenting the genealogy for my family. This is time-consuming and needs quiet time. and sometimes I work late into the evening. And we don't get the quiet time when we hear flatbed beeping noises and banging from the Morton building. I realize that a man has to work and find a place to do that work. But I do not think this case numbered property is a good fit for Mr. Lopez, his vehicle repair shop, or tow truck services. I respectfully submit that his petition be denied and pray sincerely that there will be no retaliation from Mr. Lopez and his friends for our objecting. Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Burgess.
I had a request, but apparently the request needs to be made by my representative, so I don't really have anything to say other than I agree with everything that my mom just said. His business is a nuisance. Thank you.
Okay, we're on zoning ordinances and resolutions. Item number 1 is case ZBA 2024-045, petition of Robertson Used Auto Parts LLC, a special use request from section 20-5.11.2.3.a of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use for junkyards in the I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District. The petitioner proposes to expand operations of an existing auto salvage business. The parcel is located in Hollis Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Member Rosenbaum?
With Robertsons, they're just adding on to their ground onto their business there. It's been there for years. Great asset to the community.
Thank you, Member Rosenbaum. Is there any questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Members Blair? Aye. Bryant?
Aye.
Coates?
Aye.
Daley?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Aye. Groves Allison?
Aye.
Hare? Aye. Kelch? Aye. Phelan? Aye. Renault? Aye. Ricker? Aye. Rosenbaum? Aye. Rulin? Aye. Sulzer? Aye. Williams? Aye. Windisch? Aye. And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item number 2 is case ZBA 2024-051, petition of Paul Lopez, a special use request from section 20-6.6.1.1.c of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use when a proposed land split does not meet the 1/4 acre minimum lot size for parcels served by community sewer systems in the R2 medium density residential zoning district. The petitioner proposes to divide 0.173 acres from the existing 0.417 acre tract. The parcel is located in Limestone Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Is there questions, comments? Member Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So these next 3 cases, I think it's 3, is that right? I want to make a motion to send this case back to the ZBA for rehearing because we lack sufficient information to make a decision at this point.
Is there a second to that for discussion?
I'll second.
Member Ricker. So we're now on a motion to defer, to send back to ZBA for more information. Is there, I know we're not supposed to take anything into consideration in this, but as chair, I'll ask, came with staff approval. It came with unanimous, I believe, out of ZBA and a 7-1 to committee. What would stop this from going back to change anything?
I believe there's been additional information that's been obtained that needs to be seen by the ZBA.
Member Windish.
Can we share what that is now? I guess I don't see how we can go back to that at this point.
You can't add any
I mean,
new
can we?
information to what's been at the fact-finding board.
I guess my opinion, it's too late. We should vote now.
Member Blair.
If this new information violates the petition, then even if there is something else, then it would be impacted by that violation. So whether we approve or not shouldn't matter. Does that make sense? So if this new information somehow affected people's decision, then it probably also affects the petition. It probably violates the petition.
What do you mean by violates the petition?
Like if the petition has certain restrictions on it, if it violates one of those restrictions, then the ZBA has the ability to, or planning and zoning has the ability to do something to it. Am I making any sense?
There are no restrictions,
Yes.
correct, Andrew? Yeah, no restrictions for these three.
Member, yeah, the next three.
I guess I feel like I've been in this situation a few times, and if they can't come up with new information, we can't either today. At this point, that's my thought.
Which being, and I respect Member Williams' position, but also being chair of land use for a long time, the petitioner also does have right of approval and has gone through the process as a business owner to kick it back. That's the due process of that too. So in consideration of that, I respect Member Williams and her district and her opinion, but I would be voting for them to have their vote today. Any member else ask her?
How long would this set the process back? Would it be like 2 months? Because the ZBA doesn't meet again until a month from today, right?
Correct. And then it would have to go back through the committee.
To the land use committee?
Yeah, and have to publish again. So you're probably talking, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, 2 months to 3 months.
Yeah. I'm kind of torn because I'm very reluctant to support this, but if a board member feels that strongly about something, there must be some kind of compelling thought behind the scenes. So I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm still thinking.
Any other comments around the horseshoe? Member Daly.
You know, I would feel really bad if there were some fact of information that I didn't have about this. And I know it's unprecedented, at least in the 5 years I've been here to do this, but it does concern me.
Thank you, Member Daly. Member Rudlin.
I had the pleasure of discussing in the hallway the nature of the new evidence. And as sympathetic as I am to that, I think that new evidence doesn't affect the judgment as a zoning case. The case stands alone on the same merits that it did 2 weeks ago in committee. I think the issues that have been raised more recently, the so-called new evidence, is handled under a different set of rules in a different department at the county. If it continues, it wouldn't be handled by the zoning office. So I'm prepared to vote on the zoning case in and of itself and let the other matters take care of themselves under the rules that guide that.
Thank you, Member Rulon. Member Rosenbaum.
I concur with Member Rulon on that I don't think if it's not a zoning issue, it's something else, and let the proper authorities take care of it if there is a problem. If it's not a zoning problem, if it's let's use an example, it's an EPA problem, then let the EPA take care of it. They've got their own sets of rules and all that everybody has to follow all the rules. The zoning part, if he met all of our criteria, are you going to send him back, and then are we going to charge him again to go through it all again? Because he did, by due diligence, he did his part, and this new evidence didn't come up during the hearing where it was supposed to be. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but it's just follow procedure. I think we should stick with our procedure. So I'll be voting to send it on through tonight.
Thank you, Member Rosenbaum. Member Allison.
Is there someone up there that knows what this evidence is that can tell us? Is it something that should be sent back and reviewed, or is this something unrelated, such as an EPA issue?
Hold on 1 second for. Trying not to induce the new evidence into this to change our decision in the process because of the due diligence of the application. So I have no idea on the surface other than the applicant has followed all the steps, had staff recommendation, ZBA approval, and it would change.
Ask another question while she's there.
Yes, Member Alcesser.
Will the petitioner be able to continue his business during this 2 to 3 month period as is, without the special use? Or
That's an Andrew question.
Because if he's able to continue he or she is able to continue his business, I think it's he in this case, then 2 or 3 months is not going to make a lot of difference, down the road. But that was my question.
It's a good question, and I don't know that. I don't know if the applicant was operating out of there currently or not, but I know that this was to get the property into compliance.
Well, aside from that, I'm not referring to this case, but we've had lots of situations where people have been conducting a business and then they realized they needed to, like you said, be in compliance. And so this is just a formality, I guess. So, or I mean, those cases were formalities. This is kind of thin ice. I've never, in all my life on the board, been in a situation quite like this with a zoning case.
Any other questions that maybe we can answer why?
Was that Mr. Elsasser who asked if the new information would, what was your question? You can rephrase.
My question was whether the petitioner would be able to continue to operate his business for 2 or 3 months if it was sent back. I mean, I know, and not referring to him, but we've had a lot of cases over the years where people have been conducting a business in the county and then they realized they needed to get the proper paperwork, and so that was just a formality. They didn't stop doing their business during those 2 or 3 months. So.
Did you guys answer that one? Right. I think that Mr. Braun might have to address that, but no, I don't believe that they can operate until they've received approval.
Was that
correct?
right? Okay?
Okay, but it was Miss Allison's question that I was trying to answer. And what did you ask about the nature of the new evidence, if it would be the type of evidence that?
Would impact the question of zoning, or is this new evidence something that would be handled somewhere else?
I think that it's the latter. I think that it's, the timing of it is recent and since the hearing, and would be the ZBA hearing and land use, and would be something that would be addressed through other departments, like Mr. Ruland suggested, that it wouldn't necessarily affect the prongs of the decision making. Not that they couldn't change their mind, of course, if they heard something new, but it's not, it doesn't relate to the factors. Mhm.
And Member Alsasser, I don't know if you could see Mr. Braun shaking his head that it would delay when the question was asked. So, any other questions? So, just for everybody's refresher here, we're voting on the amendment to send it back to ZBA. So, it would be a yes vote to send it back. No vote would mean to continue forward with the next three resolutions. Roll call?
Members Blair,
Nay.
Bryant,
Nay.
Coates,
Nay.
Daly,
Nay.
Duncan,
Nay.
Elsasser, Groves Allison,
Nay.
Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin, Salzer, Williams, Windisch, and Chairman Dillon.
Nay.
2 ayes and 15 noes. Motion fails.
So now we're back to the original motion. Is there any comments to the original motion?
No motion in second.
Oh, we have no motion in second. Sorry. She motioned that first.
Mhm.
Well, I thought Member Rosenbaum and Member Daly had motioned to do that, and then Member Williams,
They put number 2 on?
yes.
Okay.
So we're back to the original motion.
Okay. Maybe
Is there
I'm-
comments to the original
Oh,
motion?
yeah, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong motion. There is.
Roll call.
Okay, so Member Blair,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Coates,
Aye.
Daly,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elsasser. Groves Allison,
Aye.
Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin, Salzer, Williams, Windisch, and Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
17 ayes and 1 nay. Item number 3, case number ZBA 2024-052, petition of Paul Lopez, a rezoning request from R2 medium density residential to C2 general commercial. The petitioner proposes to rezone 0.244 acres in order to operate a vehicle mechanical repair business. The parcel is located in Limestone Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daly. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Members Blair,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Coates,
Aye.
Daly,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elsasser, Groves Allison,
Aye.
Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin, Salzer. Williams. Windisch. And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
17 ayes, 1 nay. Item number 4 is case ZBA 2024-054, petition of Paul Lopez, a special use request from section 20-5.8.2.1.p of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District for a vehicle mechanical repair. The petitioner proposes to allow for repair and maintenance of tow trucks. The parcel is located in Limestone Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Questions? Seeing none, roll call. Oh, Member Rulon, sorry.
I have a comment, not a question. And it's a request of Mr. Lopez. I know you're in the room. And it's pretty clear from where we've been and where we're going that the next petition will pass. I only ask that you do your best to be a good neighbor. This is clearly difficult for your neighbors, and I beg you to just do your business and try to be kind to them. I appreciate any effort you make to. She's 81 years old. She shouldn't be scared. When I'm 81, I don't want to be scared. Please be a good neighbor.
Any other comments from the board? Thank you, Member Rulon. Roll call, please.
Members Blair.
Aye.
Bryant.
Aye.
Coates. Daley.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Elsesser. Groves Allison.
Aye.
Hare. Kelch. Phelan. Renault. Ricker. Rosenbaum. Rulon.
Aye.
Salzer. Williams. Windisch. And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
17 ayes, 1 nay. Item 5 is case ZBA-2024-050, petition of Michael Cochran, a special use request from section 20-6.2.1.1.b of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use when a proposed land split does not meet the 40-acre minimum lot size in the A1 Agricultural Preservation Zoning District. The petitioner proposes to divide 3.23 acres from an existing 78.296 acre tract. The parcel is located in Brimfield Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Members Blair.
Aye.
Bryant.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
Daley.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Elsesser. Groves Allison.
Aye.
Hare. Kelch. Phelan. Renault. Ricker. Rosenbaum. Rulon.
Aye.
Salzer. Williams. Windisch. And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item number 6 is case ZBA 2024-055, petition of Still Revit Solar LLC, a special use request from section 20-5.2.2.2.h of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use in the A2 Agricultural Zoning District for a solar energy generation facility. provided that the conditions in sections 7.17 of the regulations are met. The parcel is located in Medina Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Questions? Seeing none, roll call, please. Oh, Member Alsasser.
I will be abstaining because I farm this ground for this petitioner.
Thank you, Member Alsasser. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Members Blair,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Coates, Daley,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elsasser, Groves Allison,
Aye.
Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin,
Aye.
Salzer, Williams, Windisch, and Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
17 ayes and 1 abstention. Item number 7 is case number WAV 2024-0004, petition of Michael P. Cochran, a resolution from your Land Use Committee recommending approval of a waiver of compliance from Section 20-8.3.4.1.b.2.a of the Unified Development Ordinance, which requires a new minor subdivision to have access to a public water supply. This property is located in Brimfield Township.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Daley. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Members Blair,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Coates, Daley,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elsasser, Groves Allison,
Aye.
Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, I'm sorry, aye. Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin,
Aye.
Salzer, Williams, Windisch, and Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item number 8, a resolution from your executive committee accepting and appropriating a grant from the state of Illinois in the amount of $125,000 for the implementation of the Digital Equity Pilot Program. You can see that.
Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Duncan, Member Coates, Member Ricker.
I'll make a comment on this. So in committee, I expressed my concerns with this. Typically, I'm not opposed to grants, especially coming to the county. But looking at the process behind the scenes, and I'll say maybe the lack of details, and I'm not trying to be critical of anyone, it's just how the grant came about and how it will be applied equally to all 18 districts, how the money's transferred and funded. It seems to be a lot more work and more risk and liability to the county than what value that we give to our constituents. So for that reason, I will be a no for this one.
Thank you, Member Ricker. Member Elsasser.
So after the 1 year has gone by, and we've been able to help these 400 households, what is going to happen next? And we've helped them to get from point A to point B, but if we have no more money, how are we going to be able to help them to get from point B to C to D?
So that was one of the discussion points in executive committee. We were going to make it very clear that this is basically a 1 year grant, that this is not forever. And I could have DEI officer Allen speak to it. He spoke very well to it. He took the concerns of the board when we were talking about broadband and then having households inside the city that might have 3 options out in front of their house but not being able to afford internet. And he went and got this grant for a pilot program. So I think it was about the $20 or $30 a month, an equity portion with Comcast or ITV3 or whoever has it to to apply it to the home. So this was maybe to start to give somebody a leg up to have internet in the house, and that maybe going forward that they can continue to have it. But it was a grant that he went out and secured, and from listening to our conversations around the Horseshoe about digital equity. Member Alsasser?
Well, my concern would be that, it's good to help the people, but we wouldn't want at the end of the year for them to come back and say, well, the county helped me for a while, now they're just hanging me out to dry. We don't need that, so.
So we're gonna, the plan is to make it crystal clear.
Okay.
And it's our grant policy that we've always had. When a grant expires, there's no more money in it. So it was gonna be made crystal clear to every applicant that it was a one-year grant trial. It doesn't mean that we can't go out and get more grants to continue to fund it, but it's basically a one-year grant cycle. Member Allison?
I'm not going to vote against this. I don't have a problem with helping people, but what I would like is some more clarity brought forward into how these are going to be determined for this lottery. There wasn't a lot of detail when that was presented. Also, we do need to still look at what the broadband work group had. Our recommendation was that we look at the access and that we use the ARPA dollars that we had discussed to work with companies to make it beneficial in the areas that don't have any access to broadband. So that was where I thought our work group had left things. We were a little surprised when we heard of this. This grant is great, it helps somebody in need, but we do still have other aspects of this that need addressed.
Member Windisch?
Is this money already there, and then what would happen to it if we didn't use it? Or is it already, does it take it or lose it, or what is it?
Money's been appropriated by the General Assembly, so it is in the current state fiscal year's appropriation. If this resolution is approved, I'll be able to execute the grant agreement, and then we'll be able to access those dollars. And it's being administered at the state level by the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity.
Member Ricker?
I guess maybe to extend Mr. Windisch's comments, my understanding from asking in the committee is the grant dollars are a reimbursement. So, and again, if I have this wrong, please correct me, but we would do a lottery, as Ms. Allison spoke of, to identify who would be recipients of the equity funds to offset some of their broadband charges. We would then, through the internet provider that provides that service for them, allow that provider to discount the service by the dollar amount. That provider then would invoice the county for that subsidy, and then the county would have to document that and send a reimbursement to the state up to the $125,000. Once we've got reimbursed for $125,000, ours is done. So that's where the complexity is. I voiced my concerns as to it's not clean. There's many parties involved. How do you start it? How do you stop it? How do you? I think we have a great. I'll leave with. I think we have a greater chance of disappointing, dissatisfying more constituents with the confusion of this, and also the workload on the county staff to administer this and process it, I think is an issue that we need to explore. So I'll leave it as that.
And I'd ask Andre, sorry to put you on the spot, but if you'd like to come up and describe the program. He had a PowerPoint for us at committee and talk about how, address some of the concerns that are out there, and then explain how that you and your staff were planning on handling those dollars.
Thank you for your questions this evening. We definitely want to ensure that there are clarity, because this is a very great opportunity for our constituents within Peoria County. It's very timely. So I'll address the first concern regarding sustainability. One thing that I do not want to do is to provide someone with an opportunity and then pull the rug underneath them at the end of the year. The Illinois Office of Broadband has appropriated millions of dollars. I'm part of those calls. I actually have a meeting next week with one of their community managers via Zoom who is very excited about our pilot project. I feel at the end of our pilot, we're going to have metrics, we're going to have proof of concept to be able to secure additional funding at the state and federal level to not only repeat this pilot, but actually grow it and service more constituents. So I feel pretty well that we're going to be very well suited to secure additional funding. When it comes to us looking at multiple providers, we know that certain providers have a greater presence in certain areas of our county. Comcast is more in the city, but when you go to our rural communities, we needed to touch base with some of our rural providers, and we've done that. I've made contact with 3 providers right now. I've got service maps and price options as well too. So right now we're in the process of identifying the service maps that are within Peoria County, looking at the price options, and then from there we're going to determine the number of households we'll be able to serve. The 400 number came from some preliminary information that we have from Comcast. Comcast has an Internet Essentials program that ranges from $9.99 to $29.99. So that's where those preliminary numbers came from. When we received the grant allocation from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, we had the opportunity to write a grant narrative of what we want to use the dollars for. So when I was hearing your conversations around bridging the digital divide in our county, I felt that addressing affordability was a good aspect of that. To Member Groves Allison's point, I agree. We need to look at more infrastructure, especially for some of our constituents in the rural areas that don't have access to broadband services. But respectfully, $125,000 isn't going to address that. You're talking about some substantial investment that is necessary. And so I just felt that this was a good opportunity to address the affordability aspect, but we're definitely not losing sight. I would love for us to be able to go for additional funding. There's so much funding available in this space. And so it'd be great to be able to land additional funding where we can address the infrastructure issues that are very important, especially in our rural communities. I'm here to fill out any other questions. I definitely appreciate you all's feedback, and I really do believe that this is going to be a great opportunity for our constituents when you talk about job opportunities, advancing educational opportunities in a household. I mean, some people have to decide who's going to be on what tablet because they don't have the internet service, or some people are trying to decide, can I afford Comcast or do I put gas in my car? And so I think this is a good opportunity and a good use of tax dollars to really try to help our constituents. And really, as a society that is so reliant on technology now and so dependent, but we still have so many constituents that are without. And so I looked at it, we were addressing the basic need, which is broadband access.
Member Renaud.
To Mr. Ricker's point about us processing invoices, when in your conversations with the providers, have you asked if they can do one invoice for multiple people so that we don't have 400 additional invoices for our finance department to process?
So each household will have their own individual account, which is very important because if they have issues with their service, I don't want them calling me and I'm troubleshooting them. I want them to be able to call Comcast or Mid-Century Communications, who is another provider, Pearly Cable Construction, who we're looking at as well too. The company will invoice. So let's say we use Comcast, and Comcast gives us a code. So let's say we identify 50 households we want to utilize. They'll give us 50 codes. And at each month, we will get an invoice that shows those 50 codes on one invoice. We're not going to get 50 individual invoices for 50 individual households. So it's not going to be additional work on our finance team. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with our assistant CFO, Julie, just to talk some more through this as far as the billing, but by no means we will add additional work. But it won't be individual invoices. And I will say too, I had a meeting with Comcast today, and they were very, we talked about the importance of making sure that our households understand that when it's that time, they will get notices and they will understand that. So whether that's 90 days out, if we're not able to secure any additional funding, because we don't want anybody to be so dependent on it and then when they get the bill for the full amount. So we'll ensure that we're very transparent with our process. We'll be ensure that we have regular communication with the households. I feel really good about this. And again, being on some of these calls with the Illinois Office of Broadband and others, this is very timely. We're ahead of a lot of counties in looking at addressing the basic need of broadband service.
Any other questions? Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott, when we do grants, on our grants, are they supposed to always cover our administration fees, or is that up in the air? Because I know this one doesn't cover the administration fees, but what is the county's policy on it? I don't have a problem with this if that's the regular
So
way we
the
do it.
great question, Mr. Rosenbaum. The county's policy on grants is if administrative fee overhead is an eligible expense, then we try to make sure that we're covering our costs up to whatever that maximum allowable is. And if a grant has the ability to reimburse for our cost of administering that grant, there is a cap on it typically. And so, we want to make sure that we track those hours and report that accordingly. If this grant is a grant that does not permit those types of costs to be included, and this is 100% going out the door to your constituents, then that's how the dollars will be used.
So on top of that, how far do we go on spending county resources for a grant where we don't get reimbursed? And the second question is for Andre. If we don't get another grant or something like that, and they have, our constituents have all the apparatus, the stuff, and they don't turn it back in, does the county have to pay? Do we have something in place for that? Because if you switch companies, you're supposed to take the receivers and all that, whatever it is you get from them back in, or they charge you for it. Will the county be held liable for that if they don't turn it back in? I'm doing worst case scenario here. Just sometimes, if we do it before it happens, and we can nip it in the bud before we have a problem. I just want something that, in case we didn't think about that we take care of that.
Sure. Minister Sorrell, did you want to answer the first question?
Andre, why don't you go ahead and answer the second part, and then I'll come back.
Yeah, sure. So again, each household would have their own individual account. And so John Smith at 1800 Millman Drive will have an individual account with Comcast, for example. And so when it's time for them to conclude their agreement, within the program, they will be responsible for turning that in. Comcast will have their information. They're going to be like a traditional customer. It's just that the county is taking care of the cost. But each month, though, they do technically still receive a bill. It just says $0 because the county has received it. So if they don't turn in that router at the end of the pilot program, then they will have to deal with the ramifications from their provider like a traditional customer. No. That's why it's so important that each household will have their own account.
And then, Mr. Rosenbaum, to your follow-up question about what type of resources we're going to need to implement and administer this grant, it's I don't believe it to be significant. It's going to be some of Mr. Allen's time, some of Ms. Graves' time to actually do the administering, and then the reporting that's required to the state agency quarterly. I actually have to review those and sign them as well. But I have to do that for a whole bunch of other grants as well. So that's, a quick review and a signature on a quarterly report is something I do routinely. So it's not a heavy lift. I don't expect this to be overly burdensome on our team, and absolutely not going to be asking for additional staff to administer this.
And if I can add to that, when I was writing the grant narrative, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to put the total cost towards the affordability and the service to our constituents, because I felt that was greater value for them. Because once this gets off the ground and the constituents are signed up for the service, we're going to be on autopilot. Like I said, they're going to have their own accounts. I'm not going to be troubleshooting calls or anything like that. They'll be dealing with the provider directly. So once we get this plan off the ground, we'll be fine. So that's why I didn't want to factor in any administrative costs, because I felt that our constituents, we could serve more constituents focusing on the service, focusing versus administrative costs, because this grant is not going to require that after it gets off the ground.
Any other questions? Member Coates.
I just want to make two comments out of just a reminder and respect to the members here that, this the component of this is actually part of the 2024 work plan. So we asked for this to bridge that digital divide as well. And then also, we should also thank Representative Jahan Gordon Booth for facilitating this at the state level. And we need to commend her for helping us be able to achieve this to kind of fulfill those basic needs for our constituents.
Any other comments? I just want to add, like any new program, we got some, it's new, but I do appreciate the fact, Andre, that you were thinking outside of the box, and I want to encourage those type of ideas here, and this is exactly what we should be looking for. I know in the city, in my district, I mean, we talk about groceries and gas, and I think under COVID that we weren't learned internet as a fundamental need, and there's genuinely people in the city that cannot afford this $9 to $30 for the internet, even though it's sitting right outside their house. So I'm looking forward to hopefully in a year, when you have that data and that shows that in this pilot program that it did transform some lives. So I appreciate you thinking outside the box and going to get this grant. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, they're
Member
going
Elsa.
to be asking in a year to play in Peoria. But I am encouraged that there's possibly money to follow up with. That is an encouraging part. And then at the end of the year, if we feel our administration has been overburdened, we can always just go to the state and say, can you at least reimburse a few of our costs, if that's the case?
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Members Blair,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Coates,
Aye.
Daly,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elsesser,
Aye.
Rose Allison, Hare, Kelch, Phelan, Renault, Ricker, Rosenbaum, Rulin,
Aye.
Salzer, Williams, Wendish, and Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
16 ayes and 2 nays. Item number 9, a recommendation of the County Operations Committee approving an ordinance to join the Intergovernmental Personnel Benefits Cooperative, a publicly procured insurance pool to provide health insurance benefits to employees.
Member Ricker, Member Blair. Member Ricker.
If I could, Chairman, I'd like to make a few comments around this. This is an outcome of actually multiple-year discussion on health insurance and health insurance benefits, coverage, cost. So the administration put together a health insurance advisory committee made up of 20-some members of the county workforce, so members of various representative unions, departments. We've been meeting for several months. Our HR department, Angela's done a great job, Shauna and Scott and the team, but we've also engaged the support of 2 people from Unland, our consultants, Bonnie Eaton. I'd like to recognize her and Bill Schock, if they would stand up over here. They've done a great job helping facilitate insurance. We have a lot of employees. The other I want to do is identify Dave Cook from IPBC. Dave is the representative for this insurance pool. So they are helping, and Dave will be a person that we'll probably get to know better as time goes on. So with that, I want to at least recognize the work that they have done and the direction to provide a quality insurance, health insurance product to the employees of the county and the engagement of the county employees along the way that have done a great job at putting together the details. I think every employee would admit that they know more about insurance than they'll ever want to know, and details, and you know, Bonnie's probably only given us 10% of what she really knows. But I would also like the opportunity to ask if Bonnie or Bill would like to share any comments just from their perspective on our move from self-funded insurance to a pooled insurance. So if you have any opportunities, if you'd come up.
I will say, while Bill is walking up there, it's really a pleasure to work with your administrative staff here. You really have a good handle of what's going on. You can tell that their years of experience shine through. I will say, Steve, that I think that they probably know 90% of what I know. That's how good they are. And thank you for the committee that you put together. That's really a feat to have all the different.
Thank you for that summary. It has been quite a little adventure here for the last couple of years in talking about just how difficult sometimes it is to continue to package together those benefits that are really important to your employees for retention and recruiting, and maintain the fiduciary aspect of spending tax dollars this way. And so everybody's been very cooperative, great questions. They send us back doing research that we really enjoy. And we've discovered some things along the way. So I think that the decisions that they've reached are well thought out, and they've thought both sides of the coin. And so it's always interesting to us to hear just what is really important. Oftentimes we are asked just to contain costs, and that is not a pleasant thing. But finding that value piece that I think this committee has been able to find is really, really enlightening for us, and it was a pleasure. Thank you.
No, thank you, Bill. And again, I really want to thank the employees who have served on this team. And we're not done yet. This is the first step to decide how we want to provide insurance. So now we put the plans together. So there's another couple weeks worth of work. But again, great engagement from our county employees. I am very, very pleased. Every one of the employees on the team are participating. They're engaged, they're studying, they're learning, and they're there to represent their fellow employees in their various departments in parts of the organization. So if for those who may be listening to this or paying attention, if you have questions about where we're going with health insurance as an employee, please reach out to your team member or reach out to HR if you don't know who your team member is and have them engage. It's your insurance. It's your plan to provide you the best quality health insurance at the most affordable rates that meet your needs as a county. So again, it's not about the board, it's about the employees. So again, I really want to recognize the work this team has done. Thank you.
Member Blair.
I just want to reiterate what a great job that the Health Insurance Committee did, as well as Shauna and her staff, to work this out. This is the first step. We know that we don't know yet what the premiums are going to be and what the split between employer and employee is going to be, and I look forward to seeing what those are.
Thank you. Any other comments? Member Renaud.
I had a question for Administrator Sorrell this week, and I was just hoping that he'll share it with the whole group. I was asking what was going to happen to the employee health fund, and since we're entering into budget times, and what that would look like since we'll no longer be self-insured.
Thanks, Mr. Renaud. So as we transition from being self-insured to be participating in a pool, the employee health fund, which is from an accounting standpoint, the fund where we pay for health insurance, that will remain intact. There's an employer contribution and an employee contribution that will come into that fund as revenue. What will go out is a payment to the IPBC, and then additionally, one-time costs that are planned for FY25 will be what are called runoff costs. So as we exit our contracts with our current third-party administrator vendor, our current prescription benefit management vendor, our current preferred provider network, our health network provider, there's going to be claims and bills that'll be still outstanding when those contracts expire. So we will be recommending a certain amount of money in next year's appropriation to cover those runoff costs. And then additionally, we get to the question of, okay, how much will be left in reserves in that fund once we've done all those things. There is going to be money left in reserves. It'll be approximately a little bit better than what your fund balance policies state for that type of fund. So it's an internal service fund. And the intent is to maintain that fund balance over the course of time, because although if history is a precursor to how things will go, in IPBC's 30 or 40-year history, there's been, I think, only 1 or 2 units of local government that have left the pool, but you never know what will happen in 5 years. So if in 5 years this board wants to make a decision that we go back to being self-insured, we're going to need some startup costs associated with that. So we'll hold that in reserves, or that's what our recommendation will be to you. That amount that is a little bit over what your policies are, and that's a policy decision for the board as we work through this year's budget process and future year budget processes as to whether or not you want to continue, and if you do continue, at what levels, any offsetting of premium increases for the employee share of what that premium cost is. So, if you recall, we've used some dollars this year. It was general fund dollars to offset some of those costs. It'll be a policy decision again for the board as we go through the budget process this year as to what you want to do with those premium rates. The committee met on Wednesday, yesterday morning, to look at the first cut of what the premiums will be. There'll be another committee meeting next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll get some resolution on what that looks like. And then, the goal is to bring premiums, the recommended premiums for next calendar year, through the County Operations Committee through your regular meeting at the end of the month, and then to the full board a month from now.
Any other questions or comments? Member Alsasser.
Does this also cover the reinsurance over $125,000, or will that still remain intact?
Part of our contractual arrangement with IPBC is that reinsurance is covered, so that is an expense that is no longer specifically budgeted for, but will be included in that contractual relationship.
Any other questions? Again, thank you, Member Ricker, and your team for operations. Thank you to staff. A year ago, it seemed like a huge deal, but I really think you've gotten buy-in from across the whole organization, so thank you to everyone for doing that. With that, roll call.
Members Blair?
Aye.
Bryant? Aye. Coates?
Aye.
Daly?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsasser? Groves Allison?
Aye.
Hare? Kelch? Phelan? Renault? Ricker? Rosenbaum? Rulin? Salzer? Williams? Wendish? And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item 10 is a resolution from your Infrastructure Committee recommending approval of a change order for the Jail Ring Road project in the amount of $84,619.
Member Salzer. Member Kelch. Member Salzer.
Mr. Chairman, they found a couple problems that we had out at the Ring Road, as well as the entrance into the sheriff's facility out there. And it has to do with a pretty good chunk of change that we want to bring to you. The original bid was about $578,000, not quite that much, just a few dollars less. And Stark was given that. We have found a couple problems. I shouldn't say we, the people who know what should be done and so forth. And we have agreed to support their plans to how to solve this problem. The one problem has to do, of course, with the entrance where the manhole is, and the water is actually running the wrong way out there, and so that needs to be included in this appropriation of funds in addition to the $578,000. And the other one is the biggest problem, and that has to do with the ring road itself, where the subbase of that is deteriorating, they have found out, and so they are recommending, the engineers and staff and so forth, that we increase the concrete pour for the pavement and so forth to 10 inches. And this would be a substantial amount to hold many of the, to handle many of the vehicles that are going to be taking supplies in and out to the sheriff's office. So we hope that this will be adopted. Yes, it is a pretty good jump, but we feel that we can absorb this.
And Mr. Curley and Mr. Eunice are here, and Midwest Engineering is also here if there are questions for staff. Just want to throw that out there. Member Rosenbaum.
Are the engineers going to guarantee that that will work, or that's just a hope? Because I guess my question is, the first time it was built, why didn't they find that out? So is 10 inches going to be enough, or would we be better off going 12 inches? So this is just my questions that there's been a few things over the years that we've had to go back and redo because it wasn't done right or whatever the first time, and we had to pay for it again. And I just want to make sure that we're getting the best knowledge that we can, the best bang for our buck. I'm not saying that I'm against this. We got to, let's do it right and do it right the first time. But I just want to make sure it's we're kind of protected because it is our taxpayers' money.
And I know Amy was consulted too, but
All I would say, Mr. Chairman, is that if we had to take out all of the subgrade and put in a new subgrade and then make our pour of 10 inches, that the engineers are suggesting, I think that would really be a big increase in our cost.
and Paul, and we can have it from a construction standpoint, it's not uncommon for water is one of the most destructive things, and it's not uncommon for bases of roads to wash out or become substandard. So I don't know if would you like Bob or Midwest Engineering to comment on it? Or?
Hello, my name is Richard Dotson. I'm an engineer for Midwest Engineering, and I was the one who put together the set of plans. And sure, my name is Richard Dotson, and I'm the engineer from Midwest Engineering that put together the set of plans for the Ring Road and also the JDC parking lot. And what we found when they started removing the pavement was that the existing pavement was up to 3 inches thicker than what the original plans showed and what the as-built plans from when the construction, or when the jail ring road was originally constructed showed. The as-builts did not indicate anything thicker than the 7-inch that was originally planned. So when the contractor started removing it, our inspectors were basically verifying what was coming out. So part of the increase in cost is the fact that we followed the IDOT spec book, which is the standard for road construction, and the additional thickness of the pavement removal. There's, I guess you'd call it sort of a percentage increase for every inch you get thicker of what you're removing. There's an increase in the price there's an adjustment to the contract unit price that, to be fair to the contractor. Otherwise, they would have originally bid not knowing. Every contractor would sort of bid on a thicker pavement because they really don't know what they're getting into because they haven't opened it up, they haven't poured it. The other part of it is if you put it back at the same thickness that it was, we don't have to add sub-base to it. And adding the rock as a sub-base to get to the planned original 7-inch thick pavement, that is in a way just sort of throwing money away because you've got a separate operation. The aggregate doesn't buy you a lot of structural rigidity for the pavement thickness. The original pavement that was in there, really the biggest problem with it was the joints were failing. But because of the amount of patching to replace the joints that needed to be done, it was more cost effective to replace the entire pavement, and then you're starting new from square one, because you're talking about a pavement that's been on the ground for around 40 years, which is really about 20 years past the regular design lifespan. So between adding the additional thickness of the concrete and paying for the additional removal thickness of the original existing pavement, that's where the bulk of all that money comes from. And then rebuilding one of the manholes that is basically sort of fell apart as they were pulling the pavement off of the top. That's also a very small part of it.
Rick.
Maybe one additional, I'm not a highway engineer, but I think I understand enough from an engineering standpoint. Be clear, is there a sub-base problem, or once, because I'm perceiving two things. When I hear of a sub-base, and I've worked with roads, and we've got several road people here, when you have a sub-base problem, it indicates that it's not stable, it's not secure enough, it's not a good foundation to build on. That was my perception, but hearing your comments, it sounds more like when we got into removal, we found instead of a 7-inch roadway, we found areas of 10-inch and inconsistent. So is the sub-base an issue, or was it the as-built that we found created the issue of trying to match surface to surface when we finished?
It's actually sort of a combination of both. We are suspecting that the reason the pavement is thicker is because when they were paving it, they sort of realized they had poor subgrade. The soils on the site, and this is something we found at the JDC parking lot also when we proof rolled it, is they're very susceptible to pumping, which is effectively, we drive to proof roll it, we drive a loaded tandem truck, which is basically max legal loaded dump truck for those that aren't familiar with it, and you see what kind of ruts it leaves in the subgrade before you do any paving. The JDC, it behaved in a way that was not very favorable. As you drove the truck back and forth, the ruts started getting deeper. So essentially, what we looked at in the soils were they're rather soft. It's basically farm ground is what you really started out with there. And there was not a very thick sub-base put under it, which is the aggregate that goes under the pavement. So we're suspecting that they use a thicker pavement to make up for the less than optimal subgrade down below. We did consider excavation of the existing subgrade and the sub-base. However, that cost is considerably larger than the extra concrete cost to put in a thicker, more rigid pavement. And given the fact that the existing pavement, most of the problems are really from water getting into the joints and the joints failing, the individual slabs don't really seem to have really a lot of issues or cracking in the center of them. And that's usually where you find your subgrade problems, where the slabs are just starting to snap mid-panel. And that doesn't seem to be a huge problem out there. It's really more of the fact that you needed a thicker, more rigid pavement to carry the loads, and it seemed to behave in a way that did not really concern us that the sub-base of the problem is really a function of trying to get everything covered back up and let the soil just basically be bridged by the extra concrete thickness.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dotson. Seeing none, roll call.
Members Blair?
Aye.
Bryant?
Aye.
Coates?
Aye.
Daly?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Groves Allison?
Aye.
Hare? Kelch? Phelan? Renault? Ricker? Rosenbaum? Rulin? Salzer?
Aye.
Williams? Windisch? And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item 11 is a resolution from your Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee recommending approval of removing the spending limit for the county administrator for purchases involving Peoria County's bicentennial celebration.
Member Williams, Member Bryant. Member Williams, you want to explain?
So we actually had a lot of discussion about this. We have two members here on the board that are serving on the Bicentennial Committee, which are Rob and Jennifer, and we appreciate the work they're putting into this. In looking at some of the ideas and things that we need to do for this bicentennial, obviously we want them to be a surprise. So we want to do this so the members of the public won't know until after what we're purchasing, because they've got some really exciting, great ideas for the bicentennial celebration. So, and overseeing this will be Jennifer and Rob. So if there is a purchase, they will approve it.
Any other questions? Member Rosenbaum.
Can we state what the amount is that Scott has right now, what the amount will be for this project? So, for transparency, is that something that we can?
So, under our purchasing ordinance, my current spending limit is $19,999. State statute was recently changed to take that to $30,000. We've not updated our purchasing ordinance to reflect that change, so that will be coming. And for certain IT projects, I believe it's $45,000. So that is the regulatory thresholds right now. The way this is written, there isn't a specific limit on what my spending authority would be. The initial purchase that precipitated this resolution tonight, though, is in the neighborhood of $52,000.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Oh, Member Rosenbaum.
Can we put a limit on it or not on each purchase? So I just think that would be good policy that, you know.
So we'll still have through the Finance Committee and two members overseeing it, plus Finance overseeing. There'll be some checks and balances still in place for this, and if it would make you feel more comfortable, please talk to Member Renault or Member Allison or Mr. Sorrell about some of the ideas of what they're thinking about.
Okay, I just didn't know if some of them, what's our budget for the bicentennial, just to be transparent on that? Do we have a budget for the county?
In the current fiscal year, we've got roughly 100,000 or so that you approved in the current budget. We're building the budget for next year, and I would expect, that or maybe double that to be a ballpark of where we're thinking about right now. So, between members Groves Allison and Renault, as we kind of work through the budget, we'll put our heads together to kind of think about what the total spend might be, especially for next year, and then build that into the budget. It could be in the neighborhood of 200,000. It could be higher than that. Just
Member Elsesser.
Well, we need to celebrate success, but you know, but there are be some of our constituents that may not be happy with spending that much money. What is the normal spend on, for a county or a city or whatever of our size?
We have not researched how much other local units of government have spent on their bicentennial efforts. So I don't know the answer to that question, Mr. Elsesser.
That's fine, and I don't expect you to spend your valuable time doing that either, so thank you.
Any other questions? Member Renault.
To the members I personally speak with, but I do promise that we are being careful with the money, and we are also looking at ways to recoup some of the costs.
Thank you, Member Renault. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Members Blair?
Aye.
Bryant?
Aye.
Coates?
Aye.
Daley?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Groves Allison?
Aye.
Hare? Kelch? Phelan? Renault? Ricker? Rosenbaum? Rulin? Salzer? Williams? Wendish? And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. Item 12 is the semi-annual review of executive session minutes.
Is there a motion for this? Member Allison? Member Elsesser? State's Attorney?
Don't give me a promotion. It's a recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality still exists, and to destroy the executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old, except for those that relate to pending litigation.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Members Blair?
Aye.
Bryant?
Aye.
Coates?
Aye.
Daley?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Groves Allison?
Aye.
Hare? Kelch? Phelan? Renault? Ricker? Rosenbaum? Rulin? Salzer? Williams? Wendish? And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
18 ayes. We'd be a miscellaneous and announcements.
So that we do have executive session, so just want to remind, we'll start at Mr. Rulin's side, and work our way around for miscellaneous and announcements. Mr. Sweetcorn? Member Blair?
As students are going back to school, let's wish them well in the new school year, and let's hope that they're all safe this year.
Member Williams?
Thank you. Scott, can you give us an update on our federal lobbyist, please?
Happy to, Ms. Williams. If y'all recall, we sent a communication out to you recently. Former Congressman Davis, who was an employee of our federal lobbying firm and was assigned to our account, had an opportunity too good to pass up, that being to become the head of government affairs for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I've been able to meet via Microsoft Teams with the other members of our lobbying team at COSN, that being Kyle and Madison. Before joining COSN, they're long tenured congressional staffers and senior staffers, so they're the nuts and bolts side of that operation. In my meeting with them, I have absolute confidence that we are still well positioned for success. The firm is actively looking to recruit and add a former member of Congress to replace Mr. Davis, but they're being very particular and selective in who that might be. More news to come as we share with that. Obviously, one of the scopes of work that we have in our agreement with them is for them to help us build that federal legislative program. We don't have specific dates yet, but Kyle and Madison will be here personally sometime in October for more than just a day, so probably a couple, 3 days. We'll schedule meetings with board members, with elected officials, with department heads, so that we can get the critical feedback that's needed in terms of what our needs are from an organization from each one of those perspectives, and then start to build a legislative program that then we can hit the ground running over the winter and early spring when the appropriations process will start for the federal fiscal year that starts October 1 of next year. Just a quick update in terms of where we're at with our requests in the current federal fiscal year, or I should say the one that will start October 1 of this year. First, their analysis of the situation is the Congress is most likely going to be heading towards a continuing resolution versus the adoption of all the appropriations bills that will be needed to fund the federal government. Timeline on how long that continuing resolution will be is yet to be determined. Congressman LaHood, in his package of community investment projects, does have a project that he's sponsoring for us. He also has a project that's he's sponsoring for the city of Peoria that we've been involved with. We had an ask of Congressman Sorensen for another project. That project did not make the cut for Congressman Sorensen, but we are working with him, his staff, and the staffs of our two senators to see if there's a way we can still get that project into the appropriations process. At this point in time, on the House appropriation side, the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee has done their full markup and passed out any of their appropriations for the upcoming federal fiscal year, but that doesn't mean any of the other appropriations subcommittee have done their work, and I don't have an update for you on how the appropriations process is going in the Senate. So hopefully that answers your question, Ms. Williams, and I'm happy to expand upon any follow-up that anyone has.
Thank you, Administrator Sorrell. Any other questions? Member Salzer.
Mr. Chairman, this past week we lost an employee, and I think we lost a woman that was dedicated to her work. I don't know how many of you worked with Jan Clefman, but she helped me enormously. And I know one thing, I'm really going to miss her. And I hope she's taken care of in heaven.
Thank you, Member Salzer. Member Alcester.
I just wanted to say that when I first came on the board, we used to have like 2 newspapers and like 3 radio stations here almost every meeting. And so I do want to thank our Channel 31 reporter for coming today, because I do feel like the public deserves the right to know, what our business is like and what we're doing. And, I think we do a pretty good job through social media and things like that as well. But so I do want to thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Member Alcester. So I just want to give a quick kudos to everybody around this horseshoe and the entire staff. So this week I was lucky enough to participate in the Eggers Fellowship in Champaign with 40 colleagues from across the state, and really a remarkable opportunity that I appreciate. Representative Spain was one of my nominators for that. And it talks about cooperation, bipartisanship, and the amount of people that I got to meet in this last week, and the speakers was world class. And to have Governor Eggers still care about the state and be bringing people together is a remarkable deal. But I want the kudos to the staff and the kudos to this horseshoe is other counties in this state are paying attention to what we're doing. Representatives around this state are paying attention to what we're doing. Staffers are paying attention to what we're doing. And a lot of people, sometimes when we compare ourselves to other people, people are looking to see what we do. And a lot of that was noticed and complimented to me about the staff that we have here, the different things that we're doing, other people actually looking at our agendas to see what things that we're doing here, what they might be able to take back to their counties. The weekly updates that we get, I've always taken those for granted. That is not a commonplace thing in some counties. Or having professional staff to put budgets together is not a common thing in all counties across the state. So we have a really good thing going here, and sometimes, we always talk about beating up on Illinois. We need to be happy and appreciate what we got, and be appreciative of Peoria County. We have a lot of good things going, and it wouldn't be possible without everybody at this horseshoe swimming in the same direction and having staff that we do. So thank you to the staff. I know you're only as good as what your staff, and that was the number one thing that was hammered when we had a lot of staffers come speak to us this week, all the things that staff does. So thank you to them, and just give yourselves a little pat on the back too for what you guys do. Anything, Administrator Sorrell, before I will need a motion to go into executive session. Member Blair, Member Salzer, and the reason is for real estate and audit. Would you like to go into that room, or do you want to stay out here? Roll call, please.
Roll call to.
We're staying here?
We roll call.
Members Blair?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Coates?
Aye.
Daly? Duncan?
Aye.
Elsesser? Groves Allison? Hare? Kelch? Member Kelch to go in executive session? Yes. Phelan? Renault? Ricker? Rosenbaum? Rulin? Salzer?
Aye.
Williams? Windisch? And Chairman Dillon.
Aye.
I'm sure, Brian, Elsesser? Yes, thank you. 18 ayes.
So we'll stay in here, and if you can't hear me or have problems, I need no mics, but we can move to the next room. Do we need to take 5 minutes or anything before we go into this?
I gotta save this, that's all.